then there was a major break in the case. Remember Onions? Paul Onions? Yes. Paul Onions comes to the friggin' rescue. Let me tell you, Paul Onions, great name. So Paul Onions, the British guy who escaped when Ivan gave him a ride and then tried to like rob and kill him. Yeah. So Paul's back in the UK. He's living his life. He's moved on. But because this has turned into international news, it actually made it back to the UK. And Paul hears about the murders going on and the location that they're happening in. And this is exactly where Paul got attacked. And he's like, this has got to be related. I'm going to call the police. I love Paul because he did the right thing. So in November of 1993, Paul told authorities that he had been backpacking in Australia back in 1990. And while on the road, he hitched a ride from a man who called himself Bill. Now, as they made their way down the highway, Paul became uncomfortable, unsettled by the questions that this guy Bill was asking. He was asking if anyone knew where Paul was headed, for example. Was anyone waiting for him? Bill also asked Paul if he had ever done any special forces training in the Navy. Just like normal get to know you questions, you know? We're not sure like how Paul responded to this Q&A, but less than half a mile away from Belanglo Forest, Bill, aka Ivan, ends up pulling out a gun. He then tried to tie up and rob Paul, but Paul, he's like, well, no, he fights back. Somehow he manages to escape, okay? And he's running, and he's running. And I was watching this interview with him, and he was saying, like, the one thing I learned is if you're ever being shot at, to run in a zigzag, because, like, they won't be able to shoot you. So he ran in a zigzag while Ivan was shooting at him, but he was able to escape. You go, Paul. My gosh, poor guy. So Paul escapes and he's able to flag down a passing driver. Now, apparently this other driver also saw the attack. They both described what Ivan looked like, and they also gave police what kind of like SUV the guy was driving at the time. Ivan at this time was driving a silver Nissan Patrol. But you might remember in the beginning where Paul had told authorities like what had happened, and they were like, hey, we're probably not going to find the guy, but like, good luck to you, you know. Well, apparently his report had indeed gotten lost in the mix, unfortunately.